Alright, so I'm going to be making Adzuki Pumpkin Stew, and I had them soaking overnight, so they've been soaking for at least 12 hours. I've rinsed them, drained them, and I've put them in the pot with some fresh water. Now over here I have a bowl with a piece of kombu I've just added, which is a type of seaweed, and I'm going to let that soak about 10 or 15 minutes, and then by that time the beans will have come to the boil. I'm going to strain off the water, put some fresh water in, add that bit of kombu into the pot, and then continue to cook the beans with the kombu inside. And the kombu helps to soften the beans in the cooking process. Alright, so the beans have been cooking now for about 10 or 15 minutes. They've come to the boil. I'm going to strain them now and then add in some fresh water and the piece of kombu. I'll just strain them. I'm going to tip them back into that pot. Add the kombu. You can see it has expanded quite considerably. Going to drop that into there and then add more water to the pot. And then bring it back to the stove to come to the boil again, and I'm just going to let that cook now until the beans are soft. Alright, so these beans have been cooking for about 45 minutes or so, and you can see the kombu has started to disintegrate and the beans are softening up. We'll just have a little, see, they're quite squishy now and soft, so they're cooked. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to cook the Adzuki Pumpkin Stew. I've got some organic sesame oil, so I'm just going to tip a little glug in the pot, and I've got my cast iron pot out here in my Dutch oven. Again, a great purchase from Aldi. Unfortunately it's looking a bit used, but what I've done is I've chopped up some onion. I've got my pumpkin cubed here, and I've got some ginger that I'm going to grate into the stew as well. So let's pop the onion in and we'll give it a stir. So the onion's cooking here in the pot, starting to soften up. I'm going to add a pinch of salt to that now. Some salt, some sea salt, sprinkle that in and stir it through. And we'll just cook that a little bit longer. And then we're going to add the pumpkin. Alright, so the onion's browning up a bit, as you can see. We're going to add the pumpkin in now. So I've got my pumpkin already. This is about, maybe, it's not half a pumpkin, about a third of a pumpkin, which I've washed and cubed. And I'm just going to give that a stir through. And then let that just cook off a little bit as well. Alright, so we've had the pumpkin in here for a couple of minutes, maybe a bit longer, been stirring it occasionally, and I'm just going to add another little pinch of salt into the pot, stir that through, and leave that for another minute or so. And over here I've got the beans I cooked earlier today, so you can see the kombu seaweed has kind of dissolved, it's kind of falling apart, so I'm actually going to remove the seaweed out of the pot because it's pretty much all the minerals and nutrients that are needed from the kombu are in the pot with the beans now. So I'm going to get rid of some of this. Excellent. And what we're going to do is we're going to add all the beans and the cooking water into the pot with the pumpkin. We're going to give the pumpkin one more stir through. It's been a minute or so since I added the salt. And now we're going to add the beans in. So here we go. Let's dip it in. There we go. Beautiful. Alright, so we'll give that a stir through. And now we're just going to let it cook about 20 minutes or so until that pumpkin is nice and soft. And then towards the end we're going to add a bit of tamari, which is a type of soy sauce, and also some grated ginger. So I'm just going to let this cook now. I'll bring it to the boil and then I'll just let it simmer. Alright, so you can see it's coming to the boil now, which is great. And that means we can just let it simmer now for about 20 minutes or so. I'm going to put the lid on this pot and just let it keep cooking on a low flame for that period of time. And I'll keep checking on it every now and again and give it a stir too. All right, we've got things in full swing here. I've got the beans in this pot. And let's see how they're going. It's been about 20 minutes or so. I'll take the oven mitt off. All right, so you can see the pumpkin is softening up. We're going to leave it a bit longer, I think, just to get the pumpkin even more soft. And then it just creates this lovely thick sauce with the beans as well. So maybe another 10 minutes or so. Okay, so let's take a look inside the pot. So you can see it's gotten a bit thicker, the pumpkin's a bit softer. There's a lot of steam coming off. Beautiful. So I'm going to add some tamari to this now. Probably about a tablespoon or so. Stir that through. And then I'm going to give it a taste. Oops. It's quite hard to stir when you're holding a phone and not looking directly at the pot. Alright, I've got my tasting spoon. Let's give this... Alright, I'm going to add a little bit more tamari. Maybe a bit too much, I don't know. Okay, stir that through. And then I'm going to add the grated ginger. So I've got my ginger, I've got the grater. I'm going to do this off camera. Alright, so you can see I've added the grated ginger there. I'm going to stir that through now as well. And we'll probably give this just a couple of minutes to incorporate, give it another taste and see where we're at. Looking good. Alright, back to our pot. So this is looking fabulous. This is what you want, this is what I reckon a good pot of Adzuki pumpkin stew should look like. Yeah, we've got our onion, we've got our pumpkin, we've got the Adzuki beans, of course. It's all nice. It's kind of like a thick sauce. And we'll do one final taste test just to check the salt levels. Lots of yummy sweet beans. The beautiful thing about Adzuki beans is they're naturally sweet, and paired with the pumpkin and the onion, which are naturally sweet vegetables, you get this awesome, delicious bowl of sweet goodness. Yeah, that's very nourishing. That's what you want. A nourishing Adzuki pumpkin stew, very medicinal, great for the spleen, great for the kidneys. Absolute medicine in a pot there. Alright, so here we go, our bowl of Adzuki pumpkin stew. We're going to just sprinkle a little bit of spring onion on top as a garnish. You could have this with some steamed greens if you like, some broccoli or kale or bok choy, anything like that. You could even sprinkle parsley on top if you felt like it, and we're good to go.